Action.
Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Stacy, and it's Thursday night, which is the laws of sex. And I'm here with my co-host Blanca. She's behind my picture. There she
Hello,
is.
everyone.
Hi, Blanca.
How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm really excited about our discussion tonight because I have gotten a lot of questions and comments from people, which is one of the reasons why I decided to do this subject tonight, which we'll talk about in a minute. But we had spoken last week about something I was thinking of doing and decided to change my mind just because for some reason this was a very busy week as far as what people were asking me the same question of. So brings me to my quote today.
Hear it, baby.
My quote today, it says, "You know there's no pleasure like the joy of being a sexual woman." And I think this quote is very important because I do find a lot of women are not comfortable in their sexuality and they don't understand the joy because a lot of people do things out of obligation. They do things out of, they just feel like it's what, I guess obligation, it's what they're supposed to do, or they're not really getting the joy out of it. And I think that the importance of really understanding what it means to be a woman is really understanding your sexuality and the power and the joy that you have being able to be true to your sexuality.
That is so true. And you definitely help us do that.
Yes. And I'm not just talking about being, when I say sexuality, I'm just talking about being a sexual woman, being proud of who you are as a sexual woman, being open to trying things, being open to not fearing judgment. Because the subject that we're going to be talking about, a lot of people can't do this specific thing because they are not allowing themselves to truly be open and be that sexual woman, which brings me to our sexy subject of squirting. I like my picture. It's a very big squirt.
Oh, that is a good picture. You put a lot of thought into that photographic
I tell you, I looked for a lot of pictures that really gave the idea of what I was trying to convey. So the subject today is squirting, and kind of goes according to what the quote was, is basically you need to feel comfortable and open as a woman, a sexual woman. And so what exactly is squirting? It's an involuntary release of fluid or ejaculation. Yes, women do ejaculate also. It's kind of like watered down urine, and there is this whole thing is what exactly is it, but it does have some urine properties to it, and it does have some ejaculate properties to it because it does come from the bladder and your urethra. It's kind of the area where you pee, but it's a lot sexier.
But let me ask you a question. Yes. There are some women that do this and some women that don't, correct?
Correct. And that's actually something that I'm going to talk about because I do get a lot of questions saying, why can't I? How can I? Is it wrong if I don't, if I can't? But there's also a lot of questions, exactly what is it? And I'm going to get to a little bit more on how to help being able to squirt, so that way people can understand how to practice and do it better. So one of the questions, I love this picture, when you realize you have to go to the bathroom, that face. It's just so funny. Is it pee? And you know what, honestly, there's been studies for years going on about this. They have found that the squirting is actually a combination of uric acid, creatinine, and urea. And even sometimes after you do the squirting, they even find some PSA, prostate-specific antigens in it as well that you don't find in urine. So there is a process when you are ejaculating or squirting that changes, and they think that it's from pressure, some fluids from the Skene's gland, which is actually right underneath right underneath the bladder, where the G-spot is above the G-spot. So wow. That's kind of where it comes from, which is probably why you do get some urine in there, and the fluid does get diluted. So, and how does it happen? And basically what I was talking about, the G-spot, I have a little clitoris here. This is my little clitoris model. So this is the tip of the clitoris, and these are all the nerve branches. So what happens is that when you have something going inside, it could be a finger or a penis, but a lot of times when people start to practice, or I try to get people to help understand how to squirt, I suggest doing it on your own first and using your finger. So the G-spot is stimulated, and the G-spot can be found, you know, that come hither motion like this?
Yeah.
You put your finger in, and it's kind of like that feeling right here where you're reaching for it. So if you're laying down, this is how your clitoris would be. So you're putting it in and you're reaching and you're doing that come hither motion like that. So that's kind of the area that you're trying to hit. So when you're pushing on the G-spot, it pushes on your skein gland, which pushes on your bladder. And all that area is around the same place. So that's why you kind of need all of that. And that picture is kind of what I was doing with this clitoris diagram. And of course it's purple because it's my favorite color. Everyone should have a purple clitoris. But if you see in this picture, this is kind of how it is laying down. And the fingers are going in. They're showing you two fingers. So the fingers are going in into the vagina like this. And it's going like this, and it's rubbing that one little area where you see the fingers in the image. And that circle above it is the bladder. Can you see that? Is it?
I can't. So you're basically, you're stimulating the bladder in this scenario.
Right. Well, the G-spot you're hitting first, which kind of then puts pressure on the Skene's gland, which then puts pressure on the bladder.
And that's why sometimes this squirting happens, because of that process.
Right, exactly. And that's why some people question, is it pee? Is it not? Because there is fluid that's produced in the Skene's gland. And the Skene's gland, the more that you're using foreplay, the more that you're taking your time, because most people can't just squirt the minute you're doing something. It sometimes takes a little bit of time because things swell up with blood, they swell up with fluid. So when you're having the right amount of foreplay, you can actually take advantage of, building up that excitement and that pleasure. So stroking that G-spot will swell, which in turn puts pressure on the Skene glands, which swell, which in turn puts pressure on the bladder, which is that reason that many women have to pee when they're going to have that squirting feeling.
Interesting. Okay.
So people sometimes are afraid to get through that process because they're afraid they're going to pee. Does that make sense how it can happen?
Now that you know that, because I bet there's a lot of women out there that think, well, there's something wrong with me. And so part of the value of this community education that you're providing is to let women know that what they're experiencing is normal. And that it's because sometimes we don't know how our bodies are designed. So by looking at this diagram, it really does shed a lot of light on why some things are happening.
Exactly, because when people are feeling that feeling, they're like, oh my God, I feel like I have to pee, and they stop themselves. And they don't feel, like what I wrote in that, not what I wrote, but what that quote says about being a sexual woman. Just embrace sexuality and let your body do what it wants to do. So if you're feeling that need to pee, that means that you're getting close, let it kind of happen. But sometimes people actually don't like the way that feels. So everybody's going to be different. And that's one thing that's to know, and it's important, is that some people like the way it feels and some people don't.
Yeah, you have to do what works for you. And you also have to have the right bedding in place, because if it's going to become a recurring event, it could become an issue, right?
Right, exactly. Which comes to my next state here, and how to prep for when you are wanting to be intimate and start practicing, or even if you are a squirter, you want to make sure you have towels around. Sometimes toys can be very helpful to help you with, especially if you're on your own and you're using G-spot toys. There's a waterproof blanket that a good friend of mine, they are Carol and Dave, and they have the Sexy Lifestyle podcast, and they actually sell the top waterproof blanket. So if you go onto Amazon, you can go on and look up top waterproof blanket, and it's great because it's a big blanket. You can get it soaked and not worry about it, and it absorbs a lot of it, and you just throw it in the wash after, so it keeps all your blankets and your sheets all nice and dry, so you don't have to be in the wet spot. Some people are comfortable in a bathtub with the candles. It's foreplay, like I said before, is extremely important when you're trying to do any type of squirting or that type of intense. You have to be really into it, and even just have some kind of naughty music that helps build up that vibe.
That's a good idea. We
Yeah.
always forget about the music. That's all part of the process.
Exactly. And music can be, changed for romance. It could be changed for, like, when you're going to a club and you feel like that pounding music and you just want to grab someone and just go crazy. Where other times you want to just be like all sweet and everyone, play with your hair, romance. So music makes a big difference, I think.
Without question. But
Absolutely.
my experience is that the men don't always like music, but haven't but I think it's important to predetermine the
Yes.
type of music. And that can be something good too, because you're talking about that future event together
And it's
and
like
you're
a tease.
building. Yeah, it's like you're planning. It's like a vacation. They say a vacation has to be planned, that everyone has the same expectations. A sexual rendezvous can also be planned, and you want to make sure you have the
Absolutely.
right music, because if your partner doesn't like the music, they can actually be turned off.
Well, what I was going to say is when you made the statement about, a lot of men not liking the music, I find also it's not just the men, but sometimes the women can be distracted because they're singing the song while they're trying to get busy, and you're focusing on more on the words of the song. You're like, oh, I like this song, because I know for me, I have to have more like quiet music. I can't have like hip hop and current music because I can't focus. So like you said, that making sure that you're communicating ahead of time is a good way for the foreplay to be like, ooh, what do you want to try later? What kind of music? Enigma. Have you heard of the music Enigma?
Yeah.
Enigma has very sensual,
Hmm.
erotic music. That's really good sex music.
So let me ask you this, Dr. Friedman, are you willing? I've tried a new, I'm really all about engagement. Everybody out there watching, we've got a few people watching, but we want a good question from the audience watching us live, because I want you to feel like you're interacting with Dr. Stacy Friedman and able to ask her anything. And sometimes, if anybody asks a question, a really good question, I will give them a $25 gift card to the Laws of Life shop. Anybody that
Ooh.
asks a good question, and you'll also get a 30-minute digital dialogue with me. So, are there any good questions on tonight's topic? Don't be shy.
I love the
Let us
questions
know.
because there's a lot of people that may have questions that are embarrassed. And so sometimes you asking a question can help other people learn as well. And sometimes it gives me ideas to do for another segment here, because that's kind of how I got up to the squirting segment, is because for some reason this week people wanted to squirt.
Oh,
So
wow. So that,
people were
so
asking
every
a lot of
week
questions.
your topics basically inspire your webcast topic every week, right? What you're
Absolutely, from people
experiencing.
asking questions.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
no,
exactly, I love how you've got your, no pun intended, you've got your finger on the pulse.
yeah.
Um, so tell us about this, the steps to squirting.
So the steps of squirting, this is if you're with a partner, and basically it's about relaxation. It's about just being in the moment. It's about building up to the experience. So the importance of helping your partner relax really goes a long way. And that could start with any type of foreplay, massages, kissing, candles, music, like we talked about, a bath, um, touching, whatever it is. The relaxation is going to be very important. And what else is really good is a lot of people, even though they need that G-spot stimulation to help with squirting, clitoral stimulation is just as important for many people, because most women will orgasm through the clit. So it's important to be able to take advantage of kissing that area with your mouth or your finger, or even just a toy, and stroking that area. So at the same time, if you're sitting here with your fingers inside the woman, use your thumb or something like that, or your other hand, and play with the clit at the same time. What's even better, listen to this, guys, okay, or
Mm-hmm.
women, whoever you're with, while you're doing this and you're playing with the clit, put pressure on your partner's lower belly, the abdomen right above the pelvis. What you're doing at that point is when you're putting pressure here and you're putting pressure here, you're pushing everything even closer. So you're getting the bladder, the Skene's gland, the G-spot, the clitoris, everything is being pushed to this tight little area, and it feels really, really amazing. And that's going to help that
That's a good tip.
fullness feel. Right.
So
Right.
just to repeat that, you're putting pressure while whoever's doing it is putting pressure on the top of the stomach too? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
you're putting it on the, I wish I had like a little dummy here besides me.
Ah,
but but yes, you're putting pressure. Even the woman who's laying there can do it. You can put pressure on
oh,
your own pelvis, but it's just above the hairline, underneath the belly button, putting pressure where your uterus would be, your pelvic bone would be. So while someone is inside of you hitting that G spot
mhm.
and playing with the clit and you're putting the pressure, you're making everything in this little area that much closer and that much more intense and tight, and can be a really, really good feeling with that pressure.
That's
And
interesting because I've never even heard of that as a strategy. So that's actually that's good information for everybody out there watching to enhance the experience.
absolutely. And it's almost like, when you're trying to hit the G spot and you want to lift your pelvis up, it makes it tighter. It's kind of like that same concept where you're pushing and you're almost making it more tight. But pay attention to your partner, listen to what their needs are. If it's not comfortable for them, definitely don't do it. Not everybody can squirt, not everybody does, not everybody enjoys it. Not everybody cares if they do or don't.
What's been your experience?
My personal experience?
No, with your clients. Are people asking you why they can't do it? Is that a
That's one of the
concern?
common things, is how do I do it? And here, like, one of the facts is that it's saying 10 to 54% of women can squirt. So that means a little less than half don't ever squirt. Either they don't know how, or they've never tried, or maybe they've only, like, out of the 54%, that doesn't mean that they do it all the time. It just means that maybe one time it happened. So there is a very, very big line of losing my train of thought. There's a big distance between 10 and 54%. So everybody's going to be different. And when they do squirt, it's like sometimes even more than half a cup of fluid. So when some people say, oh, well, I don't really squirt like you see on the porns. Well, a lot of times on the porn too, is they actually have water in their vagina, and they've practiced so hard to keep it in there that once they actually squirt, they're squeezing and using their Kegels and squirting it out of their vagina too, not just out of their urethra. Oops, I think I lost your voice. Are you there, Blanca? I think I lost your voice. Anyway,
I'm here. Keep
there you are.
going.
I hear you.
You're doing awesome.
Okay. But yeah, so basically you can get up to, a little over half a cup of fluid, but some people only release 0.3 millimeters, which is only like this much. So some people may squirt and they don't even know that they squirt. I think that's also important, is that.
But at least people out there know that they're normal.
Absolutely.
If they don't, you know what I mean? You are if you are, and you aren't if you aren't, and it is what it is.
Yeah, say that 10 times fast. I think that a lot of people are hesitant because they hear from other people, oh, I squirt all the time, and they don't really know what they're doing. So hopefully some of the tips I gave will help. And also in this one, it's Toy Talk Thursday. Once again, if you go to my website, you get everything at 20% off by using the code TTT20, drstacyfriedman.com. But to help with the G-spot, anything, if you look at the picture on the right, anything that has that natural curvature where it goes up helps to hit that G-spot. And the one toy on the right is called the Vogue G-spot. And it also has those little nubby things. It's not diseased. It actually has nice little nubby things. Mm-hmm. Those help with some stimulation. And then the little curve helps hit the G spot with all different vibrations. And I think that
That's
one's
really
waterproof
cool.
also.
I like that. That's awesome.
And it's purple. I didn't do that on purpose. It just happens to be
Oh,
purple.
sure. We know you love your purple.
And the other one is really cool. The one that's called Fantasy for her. That one actually goes in, and if you look on the bottom part, there's like a little scoop there that actually hits on the clit, where the one on the right is just for inside. The one on the left actually kind of cups it like this, where one part goes in and the other part cups it like that. So you're getting the inside and you're getting the clit. And it has a remote on there too. So those are really cool. Those are really two good G-spot toys.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. I love it.
And then another thing is different positions. There's quite a few different positions. You could actually go online and just Google positions for, skip it, positions to help with squirting. But one of the better positions for the G-spot, it's kind of like I explained where you're lifting your pelvis up somewhat, making it tighter. That one helps because the direction that the penis goes in, or a toy, if you're using a toy, in that position, you're helping to make things tighter and you're helping it go up more to hit the G spot. So you don't have to be an acrobat to do that position. You just need someone a little bit strong to hold your butt up.
Or, I mean, you could just do a few pillows in that.
You could do a few pillows, but it's more fun having hands on the ass.
What are we doing? Is this a fitness program? No, I'm just.
Yes, it's a fitness.
I love how you're teaching us so much.
Sex
really.
burns calories. And it's
That's
good
true.
for the, make
How many calories does sex burn, by the way? Do you know?
Only a couple hundred.
Ah, hey, listen.
But if you do it a few times a day, then you can actually get a workout out of it.
You're hilarious. I love it.
But so basically, we're talking about calories. One of the questions I get also is, besides how do I do it? Am I the only one who can't? How do I learn? Is, are there any health benefits? And if I can't do it, I want to try, but do I need to? You know, some people feel that, oh, well, if I'm squirting, then maybe I'm releasing bacteria from my vagina or my, you know, urethra, whatever. So as far as the actual squirting is involved, there's no known benefits other than possible pleasure, but sex in general has benefits, you know, with lowering your heart rate, helping with migraines. So no excuses if you have a headache. Sex is good for headache. Sorry, women. I know the guys are like, yes, Dr. Stacy's on my side.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's important to just be active and, you know, get the energy and the blood flow going. It helps with just a lot of different things, with depression, anxiety, you know. So sex in general is going to be healthy.
What do you think is the right quantity in a week?
10 times a day. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. Honestly, you know, everything is going to be different for every person. It depends on your relationship, on your schedule, on your health. And it is a very common question I ask, and they'll say, oh, well, my partner feels that, you know, the average is 4 to 5 times a week. But yet when I talk to all my friends, they're like once a week. It really is just so varied with each couple. Put it this way, if each person in a couple is happy with 5 times a week, then that's what you should do. If each couple is happy with once a week, that's what you should do. The problems exist when you have someone that's happy 5 times a week and someone that's happy once every month. You know? Oops, I lost you again. Are you there? Then you're trying to compromise.
You definitely need to get on the same page, because if you're not on the same page, then, you know, that's, like you said, where the problems happen.
That's where the problems lie. So yeah, so when people ask me that question and they say, you know, I could tell you the average, if you have a long-term relationship, the average is probably once to twice a week. That would be average. But because there's such a variety, and people that have kids, don't have kids, have different jobs, same jobs, different desires, you can have, you know, someone that says, oh yeah, I love doing it 5 days a week, and that's what their average is. So just depends on the couple. But I work with so many people that have that mismatched sex drive, and I help people learn to compromise and finding ways that it doesn't just have to be sex. It could be exploration. For instance, one night, instead of having sex this week, explore the G-spot area, explore the squirting, explore that foreplay. And don't worry about the intercourse. Just use fingers and toys.
Oh, I like the way you think. Looking
Mhm.
at life as an exploration, as a journey, instead of always jumping to conclusions and,
And trying to make a
mix it
conclusion.
up. I love
Yeah,
your idea.
that's
Very
the important.
creative.
And these pictures today were really cute. Help, I have to go to the bathroom. So my law of sex is basically, if you feel you need a pee, keep it going.
I
Because
like it. Don't hold back.
don't hold back. That's when you're going to hit that squirting, is when you feel like you can't hold it anymore and you're going to lose it. And don't worry about peeing on your partner. Most likely they're going to think it's very hot and they're going to appreciate it. But get one of those mats, if you're mattress pads, if you're afraid of wetting the bed. But I think that the law is just keep it going. If you feel like you got to pee, and make sure you comment how good it was. I want to hear everybody's practice and how it all how it all
Oh,
happened.
Kayla, somebody has a question. She says her boyfriend doesn't like that she is a squirter.
Well, it's kind of the same thing
Thanks
as
for your
saying,
question, Kayla. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just I mean, yeah, if she actually asks a specific question, let me know. But it's almost like saying a woman doesn't like to squirt, so but the husband does. So there's going to be differences in what people like and what people don't like. And if you are squirting involuntarily, which a lot of times people do, find out, what does he not like about it? Does it wet the bed? Does it smell? Is it too wet for him? Maybe you can do it in the shower, or clean up right after. Have that communication, because if it's something that people do, which it, like I said, is involuntary many times, it's not necessarily something you can control. So find out what it is he doesn't like about it. And it may just be that it makes a mess. Then you can get a pad and hopefully help that. Make
Okay.
sure, yeah, make sure you go to the bathroom also prior to sex, just to make sure that there is nothing left in the bladder, just in case there is some extra fluid.
That I think that's also for health reasons. And everyone can get a copy of Dr. Stacy Friedman's book, Confessions and Lessons of a Sexpert. And you could get a free ebook download by going to drstacyfriedman.com and clicking the book link. So this is another incredible resource that comes to you from
It's a fun book.
being a part of the webcast. So how long do you think it would take to read this book?
2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's an easy read. It's only about 200 pages, but they're big letters. It's a beginner's guide, and it's a good book. It's a good book.
Okay, very cool. And then obviously, listen, you have really shown your stuff. I mean, you are a seasoned clinical sexologist and sex coach. And anybody that wants to speak with Dr. Friedman, you can reach out to Dr. Stacy Friedman at 561-899-7669. You can email Stacy at drstacy@drstacy.org or visit the website at drstacyfriedman.com. All her social media links are there, right there under Dr. Stacy Friedman. So